Shalom, and thank you for joining me on Healing Streams Reflections. The title for today's post is Forgiveness Demonstrated. Have you ever been surprised in your life beyond words, and the whole thing seemed impossible, and as if you were in a dream? How will you describe the feelings of Joseph's brothers when they heard, "I am Joseph"? In Genesis chapter 45 verse 3, Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still living?" But his brothers were not able to answer him because they were terrified at his presence. Joseph orders his staff to go out before finally revealing himself to his brothers. It was a very emotional moment for Joseph, but he assures his brothers not to grieve for the way they treated him. Joseph, over the years, possibly gone through stages of pain, anger, hatred, and bitterness for what his brothers had done to him. But at the time he was meeting with them, a measure of healing had taken place. Even in the face of his pains and hurts as a result of what his brothers had done, he still sounds like a man that had a deep understanding of God's plan and purposes for him and his people. Because in Genesis chapter 45, verse 4 to 5, he says, "And Joseph said to his brothers, 'Please come near to me.' So they came near. Then he said, 'I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt.' Verse 5, 'But now, do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourselves, because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life.'" And then verse 7 to 8, "And God sent me before you to preserve a posterity for you in the earth, and to save your lives by great deliverance." Verse 8, first part, "So now, it was not you who sent me here, but God. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh." In an unforgettable, dramatic and emotional scene, Joseph reveals his true identity to the fright of his brothers. "If you were Joseph, what would you have done? If I too were Joseph, what will I have done?" Joseph encouraged his brothers not to be distressed and angry for selling him, because God had a plan of saving lives, and it was to be fulfilled through him. He assures them that what they meant for evil, God turned to good, and then tells them to return to Canaan to bring back their families and his aging father, so they be preserved. Beloved, good people cannot hide their great love and forgiveness. Even though Joseph closed the door, the Egyptians still had the joyful reunion. Good people, compassion is beyond evil man's understanding. Joseph's brothers shake with terror because they cannot believe he will forgive them. How awesome it is to recognize the sovereignty of God in the affairs of life and to trust his promises, no matter how dark the day may be. Of a truth, humans cannot frustrate the plans of God. It is amazing how God uses our unpleasant life experiences and turns them all to fulfill a purpose for His glory. What an amazing privilege it is to be chosen out of the many people to save lives. And that is what verse 7, Joseph said, "And God sent me before you to preserve a posterity for you in the earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance." Friends, God's plans over our lives exceed the circumstances that we go through. Even Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 tells us as such. And therefore, no matter what situation or challenge you are facing right now, God's plans will always prevail if you and I do not give up. Oh, dear Lord, make us a vessel that will carry on your work in Jesus' name. Beloved, Joseph's brothers hated him so much that they conspired to kill him. They had thrown him in the pit with the intention of leaving him there to starve to death. But God was with Joseph while he was in the pit. God was with Joseph while he was in Egypt and had ultimately made him the second to Pharaoh in the ruling over Egypt. And so Genesis 45 verse 8 had a revelation. "So now it was not you who sent me here, but God, and He has made me a father to Pharaoh, a lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt." So Genesis 45 verse 8 reveals that it was God who sent him, and that God's plan cannot be thwarted. Isaiah chapter 54 verse 17 says, "No weapon formed against you and I will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord." Joseph's confidence was not in man, but in God. Why do you think Joseph could easily forgive his brothers and was ready to help them in their time of need? As Genesis 45 verse 9 to 11 informs us. Verse 9, "Hurry and go up to my father and say to him, Thus says your son Joseph, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not tarry. You shall dwell in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near to me, you and your children, children, your flocks and your herds, and all that you have. Therefore I will provide for you, lest you and your household and all that you have come to poverty, but there are still 5 years of famine. Beloved, Joseph knew that God meant it good, even when his brothers mistreated him. Good men, good people move to eliminate the suffering of others. Joseph tells his brothers, do not be distressed with yourselves for selling me here. Good people, good men, see beyond the circumstances to the ultimate will of God. Joseph tells his brothers, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. Brothers and sisters, while Joseph's brothers were starving for food, Joseph was starving for them. It is always encouraging to know that the one who has called us is able and ready to carry us on. Joseph saw God's hand. Joseph, he saw God's hand in all the hard times that he went through, Joseph teaches us to forgive the worst deeds that might have been perpetrated against us. My brother, my sister, in times of worst situations, do you have the courage and the capacity for the good in you to come out to take care of evil situations that have been done to you? Note also that the harm we do to others may come back to haunt us. Imagine for a moment how the brothers felt seeing Joseph, whom they thought might have died. The revelation of Joseph to his brothers might have overwhelmed them, but his embrace of each of them was healing. His brothers mustered courage and talked to him. For verse 15 says, and he kissed all his brothers and wept over them. Afterward, his brothers talked with him. Probably they asked for forgiveness. Friends, let us learn to give joy and relief to people who might have wronged us by forgiving them. Joseph's dream is finally realized. He went from the prison to the palace, but it didn't come through a straight line. Yet after years of betrayal, yet after years of hardship, yet after years of loneliness, Joseph held on to his stubborn love for his family. All because he was the lover God was counting on. Even when his brothers did him wrong, Joseph only knew how to respond with a radical love offering. But what about you? What about me? When you finally get the upper hand, will it be revenge or reconciliation you reach for? Brothers and sisters in the Lord, greatness is revealed when people reach the peak of power and remain compassionate. They refuse to be vindicative or vindictive, or use their power to inflict pain on others. Joseph is the classic example of greatness. He had every reason to get even, but refused to do so when given the opportunity. Do you have the strength to do good to people when much evil has been done to you? Beloved, anybody can do good to people in good season. But what about bad seasons, when much evil is inflicted upon you? In the worst of you, in the worst of me, there is better of us. And unless we allow that best of us to come out of us during the most difficult times, we cannot achieve our dream lifetime. What happens to your dream in troubled times? When the enemy sabotage you, when the money is not there, when there's so much lack. Do you have situations in your family that is hard to explain? Yes, we all do. You need the grace of God. Me too need the grace of God. You need the love of God. Me too need the love of God. Do you have the love of God and grace of God stronger than your thinking, stronger than your memory to overcome the situation? May the love of God strengthen your resolve to overcome your dream challenges. Shalom. And may the living God be with you.